What's up, everybody? You are watching Alabama football on YouTube. Trey Hannity joined by Kyle Henderson today. So we get ready to talk about spring football. We're going to be focusing on the quarterbacks in this video. And before we start, guys, I need you to hit that like button. Keep subscribing to this channel. We continue to grow. Kyle, you say it a lot. We want to get this to the size of Bryant-Denny Stadium. That's 100,000. So please keep subscribing, hitting that like video, getting in the comments for us, guys. Kyle, excited to talk about these quarterbacks today. Really three names we're going to focus on. Of course, the returning Heisman winner in Bryce Young, Simpson, the newcomer, and a guy that's kind of in the middle of things right now, Jalen Milroe. What are your thoughts on this group as a whole to start it out? Then we kind of get into these guys one-on-one.
Well, I mean, it's finally good to be talking some football, right? I mean, you got spring football, which is heating up now in the month of March. You got Alabama having its first practice on the 11th, but then we have to wait for spring break before their second practice on March 21st. But trust us, fam, we're thinking about football. We're carving it up. So happy to be talking about the quarterback room today. When you look at Alabama's quarterback room, clearly Bryce Young is the guy. I mean, when you look at his stats too, Trey, I mean, 4,800 yards last year, 47 touchdowns, 7 interceptions as just a freshman. And you kind of rewind to before he played, people were like, oh, is this guy worth $1 million in name, image, and likeness? A couple nights ago, BMW was like, yo, take a whip from the lot and cruise it around. Bryce Young clearly, I think, exceeded a lot of people's expectations and more so. And I think the ability for him to extend plays, to keep plays alive. And I really think that Bryce Young, over the course of the season, developed more arm strength. And I think that his downfield throwing ability really increased and became more accurate as the season went on. I think across the middle of the field, his ability to extend plays, as I mentioned, that was there, but his deep ball ability, that's something that he needed to work on. So when we look at Bryce Young, curious to see how he continues to develop as a quarterback. He's only going to be a sophomore this season. We'll be working with second-year offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach Bill O'Brien. Until further notice, I know people keep waiting for Bill O'Brien to leave, but look, Bill O'Brien's still on staff at Alabama, which I think is a positive for the Alabama quarterback room. Don't forget about Alex Mortensen, who is also one of the behind the scenes quarterback gurus here at the University of Alabama. I think those guys are going to work really well together. And then you also have Braxton Barker, Jay Barker's son, who is now, I believe, a graduate assistant. Think about all the wealth and knowledge in that room, the quarterback room, to continue to foster that growth. But yeah, Trey, as you said, there's other quarterbacks within the room. You have Jalen Milroe and Ty Simpson. We're going to talk about those guys, but clearly Bryce Young, the man, not only at Alabama, but in the world of college football going into the 2022 season.
No doubt about it. I mean, he was a magician last season, like you said. And, I can't lie. I was one of the doubters before last season. I didn't really know exactly what we'd see. Can only imagine, the growth that we see from year number 2 to year number 3 now for Bryce Young. But, guy Jalen Milroe has kind of been waiting in the wings here for a little bit. And this is a guy that is really athletic more than anything, a lot like Bryce Young. Maybe we see him at another position at some point. But, overall, as far as his status at quarterback, where do you see his role looking like in 2022?
Well, I think I disagree with you in terms of maybe changing him to a different position, at least going into this season. I think that what Alabama is going to do is make sure to foster him as a quarterback. I mean, he's a big dude. I mean, 6'2", 212 pounds, already looks grown. I mean, looks like one of the most chiseled players on the team, right? We've all seen the highlights and the strength that he has, but we really haven't had an opportunity to see him throw too much. And we didn't have that opportunity to see Bryce during his initial season at Alabama. And I think I said earlier that Bryce was just a freshman. Clearly, he was a redshirt freshman this past season. So this will be his third season with the University of Alabama. This will be Jalen Milroe's second season with the Crimson Tide. And to put things into perspective, I think Bryce threw the football his first season at Alabama 22 times. Jalen Milroe last year just threw the football 7 times. He was 3 of 7 for 41 yards with a touchdown pass. But I do like Jalen Milroe in terms of his overall just athleticism that he has. Now, we have to see more opportunities. And I think when you have opportunities during spring football, that is when you can develop a more continuity with some of these newer wide receivers, start to work with the offensive line. And this will be his second year under offensive coordinator Bill O'Brien with that offensive playbook now in front of him, the Alabama playbook, as Nick Saban likes to talk about. Jalen Milroe has a big arm. I would like to see him used in a couple different situations, as you said, a different position. I don't know about a different position per se, but at times when Alabama does have a little bit of wrinkles, they've used Slade Bolden in the past. Maybe Jalen Milroe could be that guy if they needed it to. But look, I think at least let's give him an opportunity to develop as a quarterback before we start moving some of these guys around. I think he has all the attributes, but it's going to be tough to get a lot of playing time this coming season because you have Bryce Young ahead of you. So as we've seen in the past, guys who are patient, guys who can continue to create value for themselves, not necessarily even on the field, but within the practice room, really develop a sense of self-worth within the team. I think those guys are the guys who end up flourishing the most. Look back a couple years ago, Mac Jones, there was so many guys ahead of him, but he waited his turn, he waited it out, learned the playbook, and now look at him starting quarterback for the New England Patriots. And I think that's really important in this new world of college football where I think the instant self gratification has changed the game because these guys can hit the portal and just kind of bounce out. But the guys who are patient, wait their turn, and be patient. Even Bryce Young, you had to sit behind Mac Jones. Mac Jones completely balled out. But you see what he did within his second year at Alabama. So for Jalen Milroe, clearly it's going to be hard for him to get on the field, and including the next guy we're going to talk about, Ty Simpson. But I think this year, going into the season, we want to see continued growth and progression from Jalen Milroe.
Oh, for sure. And I mean, he is in a very hard position. This is something we've seen in the past at Alabama. That's what you get when you have 5-star on top of 5-star. But I do think Nick Saban will try to get creative, find a way to work him in at some point. Hopefully that is quarterback for Jalen Milroe. Guys, keep hitting the like button, get in the comment section. We love hearing your thoughts. And, typically we see a lot of comments about Ty Simpson. We saw it throughout his recruiting. And you mentioned Mac Jones there. I think he was a big recruiting source for Ty Simpson to see that he waited his turn and, had success once he got it. For Ty Simpson this season, probably not going to get a lot of opportunity, but what is the outlook? What have you seen so far from Ty Simpson since he's been at Alabama?
Well, I think the one thing that I like about Ty Simpson is I know that Jalen Milroe is a dual threat quarterback, but he's completely different than Bryce Young. I think Jalen Milroe, as we've learned, he's one of the fastest players on the team, north and south. But where Bryce is different from him is his side-to-side ability, kind of that ninja-esque mentality, that ninja-esque ability to move, create plays, make defenders miss, keep your eyes downfield. And I think Ty Simpson has a lot of those attributes. You can roll the clips from his huddle, and you can see a lot of that as well from Ty Simpson in terms of being able to evade defenders, keeping plays alive downfield. And I think Ty Simpson, the thing that I really like about him is the fact that his father is a college coach, UT Martin. So you look at all the coaching that he has in himself, right? He can be a team player. He can listen to his coach. His father's a coach, and he can understand the schematics. And I'm sure he already has a great understanding of breaking down coverages just because he's probably been in the film room since he was able to walk, right? But I like Ty Simpson as a quarterback coming in. I'm curious to see how he can hang with the dogs, right? I'm curious to see how he can go against an Alabama defense, whether that's a scout team quarterback, the second, third team quarterback, because he didn't play at the biggest high school in Tennessee. And I think that was one of the knocks that a lot of people had on him. I know he was a consensus 5-star. I think Rivals has him as a 4-star. Stars aside, I think if you're ready and you come in as an early enrollee, you've already been a part of the fourth quarter program, get your feet wet in spring football. If his name is called, I think he'd be ready to go, but we'll continue to see how he progresses during spring football. But I think, the clear thing we know is Bryce Young is the man, but who is going to be that number 2 quarterback, Jalen Milroe, Ty Simpson? Will we find out during spring football? Probably not. I'm sure Jalen's going to be the second quarterback taking reps, but looking down the season, especially because Alabama's front end, in my opinion, is very easy, in terms of playing Utah State, Texas, Monroe, and then Vanderbilt. You got to think just based off the guys that are returning for Alabama, that Alabama is going to be a big time favorite in a lot of those games and potentially creating some opportunities for the second and third team get in the game. I know Saban would be pissed off if he heard me talking about second and third team guys getting in. The season hasn't even started, but it is what it is. I mean, we know that Alabama is going to be a heavy favorite against Vandy, Utah State, and Monroe. So it is what it is. I'm giving credit to the players and to the organization, coach. But yeah, that's kind of the quarterback room in a nutshell. But before we go, I want to make sure that you guys understand the importance of two things. number one, Bill O'Brien coming back. I think anytime you have an offensive coordinator, specifically at Alabama, coming back, I think it helps build with the continuity of the offense as a whole. You look at Steve Sarkisian, what he did within his second year at Alabama. And over the course of, since I've covered Alabama, there's been several offensive coordinators to come in and out, right? Got here at the tail end of Lane Kiffin, then it was Brian Daboll, then it was Mike Locksley, Steve Sarkisian, now Bill O'Brien. So it's been a rotating sense, and those guys usually work with the quarterbacks, although Mike Locksley did work with the wide receivers. And then the other thing is, Alex Mortensen. We haven't talked about him enough. Look him up. He's kind of a quarterback guru, quarterback whisperer. He's been kind of behind the scenes, and I think he does a great job with the Alabama quarterback room. And that's why I'm so confident in this group, in this room, that they're going to continue to move forward. He's a big time coach in the waiting, in a pivotal piece for the Alabama coaching staff. He might not be, the main face of the quarterback room in terms of the coaches, but he plays a very big role behind the scenes. So really important to have him back in the fold for the Crimson Tide.
Oh, it's huge. And Joe Cox, another guy, former quarterback, he's going to be working a little bit more with the tight ends, but he's on staff now as well. So you just love the quarterback experience on this coaching staff. Some of the thought processes. I think it's just going to make Bryce better and better. And like you said with Bill O'Brien, I mean, he has been Bryce Young's one-on-one coach from the time he got here. So just to continue with that relationship is big for this team with a young receiving core and, a different kind of look at running back as well. We're going to talk about that throughout the rest of the week, guys. We got all kinds of videos coming for you as we get into spring practice. March 11th is the date that we are all anticipating. It's when it gets going. Like Kyle said, we're going to have Nick Saban coming for you once all that gets revved up. But don't forget to hit the like button and check out the rest of the videos on our page. You got to subscribe to the channel. There's still all kinds of stuff going on throughout the rest of this week. Had some great weeks talking recruiting and everything else. So be sure to check that stuff out, guys. And get in the comments. Let us know who you think is going to maybe be number 2, number 3 in this quarterback room behind Bryce Young. I want your thoughts on the reigning Heisman winner, Bryce Young, as well. So let us know, guys. But until next time, for Kyle Henderson, my name is Trey Yanity. This has been Alabama Football on YouTube as we study the quarterbacks going into spring practice 2022.